Hey, what's up? My name is David Mitchell. I'm the owner of Dark and Light Films. I've been a filmmaker for over 4 years. Today I'm going to be talking about shooting in full auto and jumping over to shooting in full manual. So I'll be going over a short manual checklist to help guide you through the process. First scene. So the checklists I'm going to be talking about are white balance, changing from autofocus to manual focus, adjusting your ISO, adjusting your aperture or iris, and adjusting your shutter speed and frame rate, which are very important to combine each other so they kind of are almost the same category. So first off, for white balance, this is one of the more important ones. Some of the other ones you can kind of be a little bit off and it's not too much of a big deal, but if you screw up your white balance, it's either going to be really blue or really red, and that's what happens when you have a funny color on there, or you see a shot and the skin tone's really red or really blue. It's the white balance, unless they're doing it on purpose and you have a certain look you're trying to go for. So adjusting your white balance, you can do this a number of different ways depending on what the settings are on your camera. So for most of them you have presets in there: cloudy, sunny, indoor lighting, outdoor lighting. It's great to start out with the presets. So the white balance is a temperature. That's what they mean when it's 3200K, it's 3200 Kelvin, and that is for indoor. So for outdoor, you basically want to shoot on 5600K, and that's a great way to start out, is if you're either using the presets or if you manually set it by the actual number. 3200 is what you want to set for indoor lighting, and then for outdoor lighting you want to set it at 5600. And as you learn how to adjust these and you get used to shooting in different environments, you can play around with these as much as you want, but I would recommend just sticking to the 3200, 5600. That way you get used to what those look like. You can use a white balance card or a gray card. I have one right here. It is white on one side and then gray on the other. Hold it in front of your subject or the object that you're going to be shooting at where you have the lighting. You'll hold it near the skin tones, like that. Usually in your menu you'll have settings where you can assign a custom white balance, or in your camera you can take the white balance picture is what it's going to do. So what you're doing is taking the white balance off of the card, and so it will give you the accurate white balance. Sometimes you do need to do this more than once. If you take the picture and it's super red, super blue, or it looks, just crazy, you need to do it again. So doing it more than once is perfectly fine. It's not always perfect the first time. Another way of adjusting white balance is using a light meter. Only problem with this is they are kind of expensive if you get a good one or a decent one, and it's just another tool that you will have to learn how to use while you're trying to learn the other manual settings. So starting out, it's probably best to just learn how to use your actual camera settings. And another good thing about that is if something goes wrong with that light meter and you have it, you'll know how to use the settings in your camera, so you'll have the backup both ways. Adjusting your autofocus. This is something that actually has a button. Usually you have an AF, AFF, and you want to switch that off. That means autofocus. So you want to switch it to MF, which is manual focus. Sometimes you don't actually have a button and you'll have to go into your menu and switch it over to manual focus. And the great thing about this is when you're moving around, your camera is not trying to focus. It's just focused on the one point. Or you're using a cinema lens. Generally cinema lenses will usually only be able to shoot in manual focus, manual iris. So if you've already got that practice, you'll be all set. So ISO, this is also another important one. This can, if you get the wrong ISO settings, if you have it too high, it's going to show up a lot of grain. That's what is happening when you have it on auto and you're shooting in low light. Your camera is going to shoot up your ISO. So it's going to be, like at 1000 plus. And you'll see a bunch of snow or grain type of look. So when you're shooting on manual, you can set it for one setting, which you generally want at a lower setting, say around 200-300. This can differ for each camera depending on what the capabilities of your ISO are. always research your actual camera, see if it has a native ISO to shoot at that some people have tested, or just what I do is I shoot at the lowest ISO possible on my camera, and I use the other manual settings like the iris, shoot in better light, having lenses that have a fast aperture so you can keep your ISO low. It'll keep more of the detail into your shots. So shutter speed and frame rate, these kind of go to, so what you do is you want to double your frame rate. So I'm shooting at 24 frames per second. You want to shoot at 48 is going to be your shutter speed. So change your shutter to double what your frame rate is. And that's an easy way to remember that. You're going to want to adjust these as the light changes. So as it gets darker and lighter, you're going to have to readjust these. If it's just a little bit, it's not too bad, but if say you're shooting near sunset or you have lights set up and you turn one of them off, you're going to want to readjust everything. So just keep that in mind. Always be double checking your settings. All right, thanks guys. I'm going to put the list of everything I covered in the description down below. So just check that